I'd been driving way too fast and slammed on my brakes as a line of stopped cars suddenly appeared. My tires skidded on slush and I came to a stop, inches from the bumper of a black sedan. As far ahead as I could see, nothing moved. The discarded bones of Montreal's rapid transit train cast sharp shadows across my windshield. I glowered at the ancient structure as if it were to blame for the traffic snarl. I pounded my fists lightly on the steering wheel and leaned back against my seat. A headache was blossoming nicely inside my skull. The call from Raven's school had come over an hour ago, but I'd been across town on my last job of the day, an infestation of scarab beetles of all things. The beetles weren't so bad, but panicked godlings of the Pharaoh sect had camped outside the temple. Having their inner sanctum overrun by the sacred creatures was taken as a very bad sign. I had to agree. Seeing the ornate walls and sculpted columns covered in chitinous bodies had been unsettling, and I couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding it left in me. Now I was parked on Highway 40, and that feeling wouldn't leave me. Why does traffic never run smoothly when you're in a hurry? I switched the van to auto drive so I wouldn't be tempted to zoom up the shoulder. Mason had been in Parliament all day, but I called to let him know that Raven was in trouble again. The call went to voicemail. I hung up, not wanting to leave that kind of message. He'd learn all about Raven's latest dust-up when we got home. Tail lights blinked out and the line of cars finally snaked along the old road. 20 minutes later, I turned into the parking lot of Bremer Academy. It was nearly empty. Classes ended hours ago, but Raven had stayed for Alchemy Club. I waited to be buzzed in at the front doors, then headed toward the main office, suppressing the shiver that schools always gave me. Some people dislike hospitals. Me? I hate schools. They all had that stale smell that I equated with old paste and sweat. To my sensitive keening, the walls seemed to vibrate with adolescent emotion, and not the carefree kind. I keened years of angst over pop quizzes, acne outbreaks, hurt feelings, and broken hearts. My boots squeaked against the gray industrial floors as I hurried down the hall. Raven was slumped on a bench outside the main office. He was in trouble again. Must be Tuesday. Mason and I had adopted Raven after finding him on the prison island of Grandil. He'd been born there, but it was no place to raise a child, especially one as magically gifted as Raven. His mother had been a Kelpie. His father was either a deadly Nukkalavi or a Thunderbird. We'd find out which when Raven came into his full power. He'd grown by leaps and bounds once away from the stifling null magic of Grandil, but at 14 he was still small for his age. When he saw me, he straightened. I resisted the urge to brush hair from his eyes. It was too long, as usual, a shaggy black mane with the one shocking streak of white. "I'm sorry," he said. I nodded. He was always sorry. From the vice principal's irate phone message, I understood that Raven had punched another boy in the science lab. A fight had ensued. A terrarium was smashed in the melee, and the science club's valuable specimen escaped. I wanted to throttle the kid. This wasn't the first fight. It wasn't even the 10th fight. Nothing we said to him on the subject seemed to register. My son looked up at me with a miserable expression, and all thought of punishment drained away. Poor kid. "They called me a Nukkalavi, said I'm evil." His voice was barely above a whisper, and it rasped with unshed tears. "I'm not." His hands were clenched into fists, and they shook as if he held them back from violence. I know. I gave in and smoothed down that one white lock. We'll sort it out. The office door opened, and Vice Principal Ferdinanda Cohn marched out. She insisted that parents call her Ferdy, but students addressed her as Vice Principal Cohn.